danger arrived all at once, you would fight it. If it screamed, you would resist. If it shocked you, you would demand change. But the most dangerous threats don't shout, they whisper. They arrive slowly, predictably, even politely. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the human brain mistakes slow damage for safety and how their single flaw quietly shapes corruption, relationships, health, and the entire societies. Because what feels stable today is often just decay you have learned to live with. You must have heard about this metaphor. A frog dropped into boiling water jumps out immediately. But if the water heats gradually, the frog stays until it's too late. Whether the biology is perfect doesn't matter. The metaphor survives because humans behave the same way, not because they are unaware, but because each change felt small enough to tolerate. No single moment felt urgent, so no moment triggered escape. Neuroscience explains why this keeps happening. The human brain evolved to detect certain threats, not slow ones. This process is called habituation. When a stimulus increases gradually, the brain lowers its alarm response, not because the danger disappears, but because constant vigilance is expensive. Your brain chooses efficiency over accuracy. So slow harm isn't confronted, it's absorbed. This leads to something psychologists call normalization of deviance. Small violations occur, nothing immediately breaks, so the violation becomes acceptable. This is how standards erode, institutions decay, corruption survives, not through dramatic crimes, but through tiny compromises repeated until they feel ordinary. The water didn't boil suddenly, you were already sitting in it. Corruption spreads slowly, so the brain categorizes it as manageable. Each act feels minor, each shortcut feels justified. This is the slippery slope effect combined with moral licensing. I had no choice. This is temporary. This is just how things work now. Eventually, resisting feels irrational and adapting feels intelligent. Psychologist Martin Seligman demonstrated this clearly. When beings experience repeated lack of control, they stop trying, even when escape becomes possible. This is called learned helplessness. It doesn't look like weakness, it looks like maturity, like acceptance, like being realistic. And by the time pain becomes undeniable, the habit of tolerance is already trained. Behavioral science adds another layer called loss aversion. Humans react intensely to sudden loss, but barely notice gradual decay. That's why crises create outrage, while erosion creates patience. We explode at shocks and quietly endure suffocation. Careers don't collapse overnight, relationships don't rot suddenly, health doesn't fail instantly, they decline quietly, and the brain keeps saying, I can manage this, until it can't. So, here are the three actionable insights. Escaping this trap requires conscious interruption. Here's how: set boundaries early. Decay feels harmless only before it becomes familiar. What you tolerate once, your brain files as acceptable. Lower the cost of resistance. Make speaking up easier than staying silent. Effort determines morality more than intention. Name any dysfunction immediately. Language disrupts habituation. What you clearly label, your brain can no longer normalize. What the brain adapts to, conscious attention must interrupt. And remember the frog metaphor we talked about earlier? The frog metaphor survives for one reason. It's not about frogs, it's about us. Slow poison doesn't need force, it only needs time and your remarkable ability to adapt. And what humans tolerate slowly eventually defines how much damage they will accept forever. You didn't choose this life, you slowly agreed to it. And be honest, if this was destroying you fast, you would have stopped it, right? You would have reacted. If it was sudden, Remember, the most dangerous damage is the kind that feels normal. The question you avoid controls your life. Find your why, be the catalyst.